Welcome to Raaonline. Today we will discuss about an important triangle in the head and neck, that is suboccipital triangle. So competency for today's topic will be describe and demonstrate the boundaries and contents of suboccipital triangle. So before going to the suboccipital triangle, we will see where is the suboccipital region is situated. So this suboccipital region is limited above by the inferior nuchal line. So this is external occipital protuberance. On either side we will have the superior nuchal line. So this line will be the inferior nuchal line. So the suboccipital region is limited above by inferior nuchal line and below by the bifid spine and laminae of axis vertebra, that is the second cervical vertebra. And laterally this region is limited by the mastoid process of temporal bone and the transverse process of atlas and axis. So these are the boundaries for suboccipital region. Superiorly there is an inferior nuchal line. Inferiorly we have the spine of axis and lamina of axis. Laterally we have the mastoid process and the transverse processes of atlas and axis. Okay. So this region, suboccipital region, lies under cover of the apex of the posterior triangle. So it will be situated below the semispinalis capitis, which is a muscle forming the floor of the posterior triangle. So this region is the suboccipital region. So there are some muscles situated in the back. So if we see the muscles, these muscles will be situated in a layers. So we will have a superficial layer of muscle, then we will have an intermediate layer of muscle, then we will have the deeper muscle in this region, and those are the suboccipital muscles. So once we remove the skin in the suboccipital region or the back of neck, we can see two muscles. So in the medial aspect, see here you can see a muscle and this is trapezius. So this trapezius muscle you will discuss in the upper limb. So which actually originate from the superior nuchal line. So this muscle is trapezius, which is situated medially, and laterally you can see the other muscle which is a key muscle of head and neck, and that is the sternocleidomastoid. So this is the mastoid process. This muscle is attached to the mastoid process. So this muscle is sternocleidomastoid. So this trapezius medially and sternocleidomastoid laterally, these two muscles will be seen in a superficial layer of the back. Once we remove these two muscles, in the next layer we can see this obliquely arranged fibers, and this muscle is splenius capitis muscle. And once we remove the splenius capitis, we can see two other muscles. Those are the semispinalis capitis, which will be medial, and longissimus capitis, which will be lateral. So these muscles are present in the intermediate layer. The splenius capitis, semispinalis capitis and longissimus capitis. Okay. Once we remove the intermediate layer, the deepest layer where we enter is the suboccipital triangle, where we can see the short muscles known as the suboccipital muscles. So these are the arrangement. So before going to the suboccipital triangle, you have to know where the triangle is actually situated. So you can imagine the depth of the suboccipital triangle. So before reaching this triangle, we have to remove the two layers of muscle, that is the superficial muscles, the trapezius and sternocleidomastoid. Then we have the next layer of muscle, which includes splenius capitis, semispinalis capitis and longissimus capitis. Once we remove this second layer muscle, we reach the suboccipital triangle where we see the suboccipital muscles. Now we can see the suboccipital muscles one by one, then we can go to the suboccipital triangle. So the suboccipital muscles are 4 on each side. So we have 4 muscles which are named as obliquus capitis inferior. This transversely placed muscle. This is obliquus capitis inferior. So this muscle is placed obliquely in the head and it is the inferior muscle. So, that is the nomenclature for this obliquus capitis inferior. Then we have the other muscle, which is the obliquus capitis superior muscle. Then we have the another muscle, two muscles on the medial side. One is the longer muscle and another one is smaller muscle. So, this big longer muscle is known as rectus capitis posterior major and minor. So, this is a strap muscle, like a strap muscle. So, it is named as rectus and it is a muscle of head. So, it is named as the capitis, rectus capitis posterior. It is obviously situated in the posterior aspect of the neck. So, it is rectus capitis posterior. We have two muscles, one is longer and another one is smaller. So, we name is rectus capitis posterior major and minor. So, these four muscles are known as suboccipital muscles. So, these suboccipital muscle mainly play in the movement of atlanto-occipital joint and atlanto-axial joint. So, we have two important joints between the skull and the cervical vertebra, and those are the atlanto-occipital, between the occipital bone and the atlas, the first cervical vertebra, we have atlanto-occipital joint. And between the first and second cervical vertebra, that is between the atlas and axis, we have atlanto-axial joints. So, these two joints are moved by these suboccipital muscles. Okay. So, suboccipital muscles are four on either side. These are named as obliquus capitis inferior, obliquus capitis superior, rectus capitis posterior major and minor. So, the movement, mainly these muscles produce movement in the atlanto-occipital and atlanto-axial joints.